Okay, this is A.SSE.3.a, Algebra, Seeing Structure and Expression, Standard 3, Subpart A, Video 2, Factoring, ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, here's a term I'd like you to jot down in your journals and define it. In the last lesson, I discussed a little bit about this X method that we could use for factoring. I think today might be a great time to put it to use since our A and C terms are going to be changing a little bit. And the change that we're going to see is that A is going to be now greater than 1. And then A and C can both possibly be composite numbers. And that is going to definitely make these problems a little bit more difficult. So I want to go through the explanation of the X method again. And the X method says that the first column coming straight down, we're going to take these terms on the ends of the X and we're going to multiply them. We call it the first term. And when we multiply them straight down, you're going to get that A term from the trinomial. And then the second column coming straight down, these are going to be your last terms, and we're going to multiply the ends of this x all the way down, and you're going to end up with your c term. And then this oi in the middle, o plus I, states that the cross product, so we're going to multiply the ends of the first part of the x, and then multiply the ends of the second part of your x, and then we're going to add those two values up. And you're going to create this oi, or the sum of those two cross products. And that should make a little bit more sense as we do some of these examples. All right, notice that the A has a 4, so that means it's greater than 1, and it's also a composite number, which means we're going to have more factors to be dealing with here. So I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to list all the factors of A, which are 1 and 4, 2 and 2, and then all of the factors of your C term, which are just 1 and 5. And there are different couple of ways that teachers teach this. Some teachers like to use, the basic textbook idea. I think there's a little table in there that you can set up these number values and figure out your binomials. Some teachers like to do it mentally, play around with the numbers, look at your middle term, and try to decide what that middle term would be based on your cross products. And then, the X method I have here, I think kind of groups all of those ideas together. So it kind of combines all of those thought processes into one. So let's get going here. How does this work? I see a 1 and a 4, and I'm going to take the A terms and I'm going to just put a 1 and a 4 on that left column because I know that coming down 1 times 4 is going to get me 4. And then the factors for C, I have a 1 and a 5. And before we do the 1 and the 5, we're going to look at the signs of your B and C terms. So since they're both plus, both are positive, I think it would be fitting to put both positives here. Why? Because a positive times a positive will get us our positive 5. And then when we do this cross product and add them together, a positive and a positive will get us a positive. So let's keep our plus signs there and put in our 1 and our 5. Now if that doesn't work, the second x is there just in case. We could put a 1 and a 4 and then flip-flop our 5 and our 1. But maybe we don't even need that. Let's check this out. So the cross product here, we have 1 times 5 being 5, and then 4 times 1 being 4. And positive 5 plus 4 is positive 9. So we don't even need that second x method. So let's just be rid of that. We found our answer. And how are we going to write that answer? We're going to group them up. So we'll take the top two integers and create a binomial, and the bottom two and create a binomial. And we will list out the answer going horizontally straight across. We have a plus 1, Going horizontally straight across, we have a plus 5. And then what do these first terms mean? Well, 1 is our variable, and we have 1b. And then our second one, we have a 4. For what? We have 4b. And I already see a little error here I want to fix. What do you see? I have a b squared and an x. That is my mistake. I made a new problem from the last lesson I did, so I didn't switch that out. That should have been a b. I apologize for that. Okay, so we have the quantity of b plus 1 multiplied by 4b plus 5. If you were to FOIL that out or multiply that out, you're going to end up with this original trinomial. Let me clean that up a little bit again. 4b squared plus 9b plus 5, and that should check out. All right, second example. We have an A term of a prime number 3 and a C term which is composite of 10. Same steps. Factors of 3 are 1 and 3. Factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. And it's kind of like a puzzle. I'm trying to put the puzzle pieces together here to try to get this 17. Now 17 is quite a large number, so we're going to have to deal with some cross products that are going to get us a 17. And looking at a 1 and a 3 and a 1 and 10, I don't think any matchups in there would add up to get a 17. So I'm gonna get rid of that right away. And let's try out the combinations of this 2, 5. All right, so we have a 1 and a 3. All right, look at the signs. I've got a positive C and a negative B. Well, they can't both be positive again because of this negative B term. And they can't both, well, they can be both negative. So let's do that. They can both be negative. Why? Because a negative times a negative is a positive, and you can add 2 negatives to get a negative. Now let's throw the 2 and the 5 in there. We have a negative 2 and a negative 5. And if that combination doesn't work, we could go 1, 3, and flip-flop those. Negative 5, negative 2. Let's test the first one. Cross your fingers. Well, 1 times 3 gets us 3, and negative 2 times negative 5 got us our positive 10 C term. Let's do the OI. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And when I put those together, negative 5 minus 6 is a negative 11. So that's not going to work. So let's try the second one on the right here. Well, 1 times 3 is 3, and negative 5, we know that that's positive 10, so they're cross terms here. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, and negative 5 times positive 3 is negative 15, and when we put those together, we get a negative 17, and that's what we needed. All right, we found our answer. Let's clear off some of this other stuff. Give us some room here. Okay. Let's group it up. We have the top binomial multiplied by the bottom binomial. Binomial. So the top binomial multiplied by the bottom binomial will get, we end in a negative 5 in the first, and we end in a negative 2 in the second, and we have one y variable, and we have 3 what? We have 3 y variables. Final answer. All right, I have 2 more problems for you. You know, this is one of the more difficult topics for students in the past, so it's going to be a little longer video, and I apologize for that, but I think the more you see it, the more you hear it, the easier it's going to become. All right, let's list the factors of 2, 1 and 2, and the factors of 35. All right, play that puzzle or play the chess game. We're going to need some kind of a 3 as a middle term. And let's see, what, 35 and 1, those aren't going to get us a 3. So we're going to skip right to the 5 and the 7 and see what kind of matchups we can get here. All right, so we have a 1 and a 2. Let's look at our signs. They can't both be positive and they can't both be negative because a negative times a negative will not get us that negative. So they're going to have to be alternating signs. All right, so let's throw the 5 in the top, and how about the 7 in the bottom? Okay, so 1 times 2 checks out. 5 times 7, negative 7 is negative 35. That checks out. We're good. The middle terms, 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. 2 times positive 5 is positive 10. And when I put them together, I'm not going to get a negative 3. I'm actually going to get a positive 3. So this one will not work. So let's throw the numbers on the second x. We have a 1 and a 2. And how about we could either flip-flop these two numbers and put the negative 7 in the top and the positive 5 in the bottom, or we could just keep the numbers where they are and change their signs. How about we do that just for practice? So let's make the 5 negative this time, and let's make the 7 positive. Okay, so the cross product, we have 1 times 7 is 7, and then 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And I just want to tell you that, just through experience, I kind of saw that coming at us, and I knew that that answer we had in the last one only dealt with this reversal of the signs. And again, the more practice you have with this, the better you're going to get. So 7 minus 10 is negative 3, and that's what we needed. So let's group up our answers here and write it out. All right, we're going to end up with a negative 5 in the first binomial and a 7 in the second, and then we have 1x, and then we have 2 x's. Foil that out, multiply it out, and you should end up with that trinomial here that we started with. Final answer circled. All right, the last problem, I wanted to kind of revert back to our last lesson. We talked just a little bit about making the a term positive. We don't want to be factoring these trinomials that have a negative a. So we're going to take that negative sign out. And then when we recreate our trinomial, all the signs are going to change on the inside. So the negative x squared becomes positive, the plus x becomes negative, and the positive 20 becomes a negative 20. And no longer do we need this trinomial that we started with because we have a new one. All right, how's that answer going to look? Well, we're going to have a negative factored out with a product of those two binomials. All right, list the factors of your a term, which are 1 and 1, and the factors of your c term, 1, 20, 2, 10, and 4, 5. Think ahead of the game. What options are you going to use? Well, that middle term is a very small number of negative 1, and 20 isn't going to get us a 1, and a 10 and a 2 aren't going to get us a 1. But I know that a 4 and a 5, when matched up with these 1s, should be pretty easy for us. So let's throw those on the ends of our x. We have a 1 and a 1 for our a, and then we have some type of 4 and 5, and let's play around with the signs. What do we need? We need that b to be a negative 1, and if we're adding up these two terms in the middle, I know that my larger number would have to take on that negative sign, so we'll go negative, and then the 4 would have to be our positive. Okay, we'll group it up, write it out as a product of two binomials with that factored out negative, and we will have the positive 4 in the first binomial, the negative 5 in the second. We have 1x, We have another one, x, and we can't forget about this negative that we took out. That's all part of the answer there. Final answer, right here. Okay, in your journal, I'd like you to define the given term on page 2 of the flip chart. Write a few sentences on what you learned from this video. If you have any questions, please jot those down, bring them to class, and we'll answer them together. And I think in class we're going to raise that difficulty level again and work with some problems that have A and C terms that are larger composite numbers, both at the same time. And I think we'll have some fun with that. All right, I'll see you in class.